Hey, you're just catching me after a morning of learning and reading about insects. Insects are incredible. Not only are there over 1 million species, there are individually 1 quintillion bugs alive right now. That's 1 with 19 zeros after it. That's a lot of bugs. They outweigh humans and any other animal. You can find them right in your backyard. So what I did this morning is I went out and I collected different soil samples. 1 by the river by my house, 1 in my backyard by my garden, and I'm going to create a Betlis chamber, which is basically a funnel, and I'll show you how to do this. A funnel at the top, and you put your soil in, and at the bottom you have a collection chamber that's filled with alcohol, which will kill the insects so that you can take a little better look at it. This is a way that scientists survey for different types of bugs. I want to tell you about one of my favorite types of bugs, which is the butterfly. The butterfly undergoes metamorphosis, which means it completely changes its body plan. It goes from a tiny, teeny, tiny larva, and it goes from first an egg to a larva, a little worm that crawls around, a pupa, and then it turns into a butterfly. When the pupa goes to a chrysalis, goes to a butterfly, and then it flies around, flies off. So take a look and see if you can find different types of butterflies and get to know their life cycle in the journal that that is linked over there. I want to take a minute here and just read some facts from this book. Okay, so here we have the creepy crawlies, everything you need to know about them. Well, let's start. What is a creepy crawly? What is an insect? Are spiders in the same group as worms? On my lesson, we're just focusing on insects, which doesn't include things like scorpions, although those are in the same family called arthropods. Arthropod just means jointed appendage. And so anything that has a joint for an appendage, we have joints, but we also have bones. Spiders and insects, all insects have an exoskeleton. Let's talk about spiders. Spiders are arachnids, a different class of arthropods. So we have insects, we have arachnids like spiders, and actually ticks and scorpions are all in that class. And then we have crustaceans, which are like lobsters, and shrimp, our brine shrimp that we're hatching. Those are crustaceans. So bugs, crustaceans, arachnids. And there's the last one, which is here. This isn't a worm, but if you look even closer, I feel like I just got bit by an ant. That's an insect. This is a millipede. It's in the class Myriapod, which means 1,000 feet. Okay, so let's learn a little bit more. I'm curious. Here's some questions for you. How do spiders spin webs? Why do bugs change shape? Can bugs live underwater? And why are bugs small? Do all bugs bite like that ant that just bit my bum? All right, what do you want to learn about first? Let's read about color codes. Color codes. So when you go out and do your insect survey, I wonder what color insects you'll find. What do you think? I noticed the other day in my garden there was a black bug with red on top. Do you know what type of bug that is? I think it's called a box elder. Okay, let's read a little bit more. Many creepy crawlies are hard to see. The hunters and the hunted both use tricks to help them hide. Some bugs blend in with their background or look like other objects. This is called camouflage. Creepy crawlies are often brightly colored too. Some use their colors to attract a mate. Can you think of a firefly? That uses its really bright luminescence, bioluminescence in its, actually let's talk about this. 3 different body parts that make up all insects, and that's it. We have a lot of body parts, right? When we learn about the skeleton and the muscles and the digestive system and the respiratory system, insects all have those too, but their body plan is pretty simple. They have a head, they have an abdomen in the middle, and they have a thorax, which is their butt. So the fireflies have the light in their thorax. Okay, other bright bugs match the color of their surroundings. Can you think of a bug? Can you try to use your detective goggles and go find a bug that is blended in and using camouflage? Some bugs use bright colors as a warning. They may have stings or venom or poison. Or they may taste awful. Their patterns and markings and warn, keep clear, I'm dangerous. So if we talk about caterpillars, one of the first stages of a butterfly, right? So we had the eggs and the pupa, eggs to larva, to caterpillars, to pupa, chrysalis, butterfly. Caterpillars are really good at hiding. A lot of them have good camouflage. They actually come out at night because they want to avoid things that try to eat them during the day. And this is really interesting. They'll actually go and nom at a branch, break it off, and let it fall to the ground. Can you think of why that is? They're Houdinis. They try to hide their path. They're very sneaky. So they're hiding their mark so that the predators don't know where they've been. But some caterpillars are really brightly colored. Can you think of why that is? The really brightly colored ones are sending a danger signal that says, don't eat me, I might be venomous. And actually some caterpillars are, and some caterpillars aren't even dangerous to eat. But they use that same adaptation, and it's called biomimicry. They mimic the other insect's color. So one insect is brightly colored and it's venomous, another insect is brightly colored, it might not be venomous, but if I'm a bird, I don't want to eat either of them, just in case. All right, let's see here. Living together. This is kind of an interesting thing. Let's see here. Okay, so as you can see here, a lot of bugs, ants and bees in particular, and termites are social organisms. They have complex societies where they have different organization. Different insects within the colony have different jobs. For example, in a bee's colony, the queen bee, her job is to make royal jelly. And she produces that royal jelly and gives it to the next bee that's going to be the next queen bee. She actually leaves the hive, goes off, and finds a mate, and mates, and then makes all the other eggs when she comes back. A lot of those bees are just worker bees, and they go out and collect nectar and pollen and come back. They put it in their stomachs. They digest it and regurgitate it off. They come back to the nest, regurgitate it, have this special enzyme that makes it into the really sweet honey that we eat. They also dance. This is so fun. So they come into the hive and they'll waggle their bodies around and they'll move around in a figure 8, and the direction that they move points to the direction of the hive. So if it's in line with the sun, they say, go follow the sun. And if it's the opposite way, they say it's away from the sun. And then other insects, as they're flying, can navigate using the different polarization of the light. Which brings us to another really cool thing. Bugs look at light way differently than we do, because some of them have very complex eyes. We have one lens. Some bugs have 20 to 30 to 100 different lenses, all in their eyes, and that's called a compound eye. So if you take a look at this diffraction, you can look in here and see the separation of all the colors. So imagine you had not just one, but 100 of these packed in your eye. That allows bugs to be able to navigate their environment a lot better and take in a lot of stimulus and information that they can then use to survive. So bugs have all these incredible adaptations that you can learn about. I encourage you to go test some different soils, see what different bugs you come up with. You can look at the life cycle of a bug by putting a piece of fruit in a jar, put it by the window, let it rot, let it be open so that flies can come in, they'll lay their eggs, and you'll get to watch firsthand the development and the life cycle. That might get a little messy at home, but could be pretty fun. And then create a bee water. Go and give your bee friends some water, or sit by a flower and see what comes to pollinate it. A lot of insects are great pollinators, which help our flowers to be able to reproduce, and our trees, and a lot of the crops and food that we eat. All right, so that's been it for this little lesson on insects. I hope you have a fun time getting messy, being curious, taking notes, observing, and getting to know the community in your backyard.